Hello, everyone. During your U.S. citizenship interview, the office will ask you personal questions based on the information you filled out on the N400 form. They may rephrase the questions in their own words, so it's important to be prepared and practice your English, especially if you're not yet fully confident in your language skills. We've compiled a list of personal questions along with different ways the office might ask them during the interview. Make sure to practice these questions and answers thoroughly. If you can master this material, I'm confident you'll feel more prepared and pass your interview with ease.
How are you eligible to become a U.S. citizen? How do you qualify for naturalization?
I have been a lawful, permanent resident for 8 years.
Are you filing for naturalization under the general provision? Are you applying for naturalization through the general process?
Yes. No, I'm applying for naturalization based on my marriage.
Are you filing for naturalization through your marriage? Are you applying for naturalization based on your marriage? Is your naturalization application based on marriage?
Yes. No, I'm applying for naturalization under the general provision.
When did you become a permanent resident? When did you obtain permanent resident status?
I became a permanent resident on April 13th, 2016.
When did you get your green card? When were you issued your green card?
I received my green card on April 13th, 2016.
How many years have you had your green card? How long have you held your green card?
I've had my green card for 8 years.
How long have you been a permanent resident? How long have you had permanent resident status?
I have been a permanent resident for 8 years.
How did you get your green card? How were you granted your green card?
I received my green card through my marriage. I received my green card through my parents.
Who sponsored you? Who was your sponsor for obtaining permanent residency?
My parents. My spouse.
What is your date of residency? What is the date you became a resident of the U.S.?
April 13th, 2016.
How long have you lived in the U.S.? How long have you been residing in the U.S.?
I've lived in the U.S. for 8 years.
What is your full name? Can you provide your full name?
My full name is Francesco Moretti.
What is your current legal name? What name do you currently use legally?
My current legal name is Francesco Moretti.
What is your last name? Can you tell me your last name?
My last name is Moretti.
What is your first name? Could you tell me your first name?
My first name is Francesco.
Do you have a middle name? What is your middle name?
I don't have a middle name.
What is your name as it appears on your green card? How is your name listed on your green card? Can you confirm how your name appears on your green card?
It is Francesco Moretti.
Have you ever gone by any other names? Do you go by any other names?
Yes, I go by Chris. No, I've never gone by any other names.
Have you used any other names since birth? Are there any other names you use? Have you ever used any different names in the past?
Yes, I use Chris as my nickname. No, I haven't used any other names.
Have you had other names? Have you been known by any other names?
No, I haven't had any other names. Yes, I've had a nickname, Chris.
Have you ever changed your name? Have you ever legally changed your name?
Yes, I've changed my name after marriage. No, I've never changed my name.
Do you want to change your name? Would you like to change your name? Are you considering changing your name?
No, I don't want to change my name. Yes, I want to change my name to Frank Moretti.
What is your Social Security number? Could you provide your Social Security number? What is the number on your Social Security card?
My Social Security number is 782-943048.
Would you like the Social Security Administration to issue a new card and update your immigration status once you are naturalized? If you are naturalized, would you like to request a new Social Security card with your updated status?
Yes or no?
What is your date of birth? When were you born? Can you tell me your birth date?
September 17th, 1980.
What is your phone number? What's the best phone number to reach you at?
837-362-8023.
Where were you born? Where is your place of birth? What is your country of birth? Which country were you born in?
I was born in Italy.
Where are you from? Where do you originally come from?
I'm from Italy.
What is your country of citizenship or nationality? Which country holds your citizenship? What is your nationality?
My nationality is Italian.
Are you a citizen or national of more than one country? Do you hold citizenship in more than one country? Are you a dual citizen or have citizenship from multiple countries? Are you a citizen of any other country?
No, I'm only a citizen of Italy.
Was one of your parents a U.S. citizen before your 18th birthday? Did either of your parents hold U.S. citizenship before you turned 18?
No, neither of my parents was a U.S. citizen before my 18th birthday.
Is your mother or father a U.S. citizen? Is either of your parents a U.S. citizen? Do either of your parents hold U.S. citizenship?
Yes, my mother is a U.S. citizen. No, neither of my parents is a U.S. citizen.
How tall are you? What is your height?
I am 5 feet 8 inches tall.
How much do you weigh? What is your weight?
I'm 163 pounds.
What is your hair color? What color is your hair?
My hair is black.
What is your eye color? What color are your eyes?
My eyes are blue.
What is your race?
My race is white.
Are you Hispanic or Latino?
Yes or no?
What is your current physical address? Can you provide your current address? What is the address where you currently live? What is your current address? Where do you live now? What is your home address? Where is your current residence?
846 Havenshire Road, Naperville, Illinois, 60565.
Is your mailing address the same as your physical address? Do you receive mail at the same address where you live?
Yes or no?
What is your current mailing address? Where do you receive your mail?
My mailing address is 30 Claymore Lane, Naperville, Illinois, 60563.
Who do you live with at this address? Who resides with you at your current address?
I live with my spouse and my children.
When did you move to the current address?
I moved to my current address on January 14th, 2021.
How long have you lived at the current address? How long have you been at this address?
4 years.
What was your previous address? Can you tell me the address you lived at before? Where did you live before?
2604 Wendy Drive, Naperville, Illinois, 60565.
When did you leave that address? When did you move out of that address?
I left that address on November 7th, 2019.
When did you move to that address?
I moved to that address on November 7th, 2019.
When did you start living at that address? When did you begin living at that address?
I started living at this address on November 7th, 2019.
Have you lived anywhere else in the last 5 years? In the past 5 years, have you lived at any other addresses? Where else have you lived in the last 5 years? Have you had any other addresses in the past?
Yes, I've lived at 416 Green Valley Drive, Naperville, Illinois, 60540. No, I've only lived at my current address in the past 5 years.
What is your current marital status?
I'm single. I'm married. I'm divorced.
Is your spouse a current member of the U.S. Armed Forces? Is your spouse currently serving in the U.S. military? Does your spouse serve in the U.S. Armed Forces?
Yes or no?
How many times have you been married?
I've been married once.
Were you married before? Have you been married previously?
Yes, I was married before. No, I have never been married before.
When did you get married? What is the date of your marriage? What is the date you entered into marriage with your current spouse? Can you provide the date of your marriage?
I got married on July 20th, 2008.
Where did you get married? Where did your marriage take place?
I got married in Italy.
What is your spouse's legal name?
Her legal name is Monica Ferilli.
What is your spouse's date of birth? When was your spouse born? Can you tell me your spouse's birth date?
Her date of birth is December 28th, 1982.
Is your spouse's present physical address the same as your physical address? Does your spouse live at the same address as you?
Yes, we live together.
What is your current spouse's immigration status?
She is a lawful permanent resident. She is a U.S. citizen.
Did your spouse become a U.S. citizen by birth in the United States? Did your spouse acquire U.S. citizenship by being born in the U.S.?
Yes, she was born here. No, she became a U.S. citizen through naturalization.
When did your spouse become a U.S. citizen?
She became a U.S. citizen on June 11th, 2022.
Is your spouse a U.S. citizen?
Yes, she is a U.S. citizen. No, she is a lawful permanent resident.
How many times has your spouse been married?
She has been married once. She has been married twice.
Has your spouse had any previous marriages? Was your spouse married before? Has your spouse been married previously?
Yes, she was married before. No, she was never married before.
What is your spouse's current employer? Where is your spouse currently employed?
She works at NTT Corporation. My spouse is self-employed.
What is your spouse's occupation? What does your spouse do for a living?
She works as an accountant.
What is your spouse's country of origin? Where is your spouse originally from?
She's from Italy.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 children. I don't have any children.
Do you have any children? Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have 2 children. No, I don't have any children.
Is your child a biological child? Was your child born to you? Is your child a stepchild?
Yes or no?
What is your child's relationship to you?
My child is my biological child.
What are your children's names? What are the names of your children?
My son's name is Marco Moretti. My daughter's name is Lucia Moretti.
What are your children's dates of birth? When were your children born? What are your children's birth dates?
My son's date of birth is March 18th, 2009. My daughter's date of birth is September 3rd, 2012.
Where were your children born?
My children were born in Italy.
Do your children currently live with you? Do your children reside with you now?
Yes, my children live with me. No, my children don't live with me.
What are the immigration status of your children?
My children are U.S. citizens. My children are permanent residents.
Do you have any stepchildren? Do you have any adopted children? Have you adopted any children?
Yes or no?
Do you have any children from your previous marriage? Do you have children from a previous relationship?
Yes, I have a child from my previous marriage. No, I don't have any children from my previous marriage.
Does your spouse have any previous children? Does your spouse have any children from a previous marriage?
Yes, she has a child from her previous marriage. No, she doesn't have any children from her previous marriage.
Are you currently working? Do you have a job right now? Do you work? Are you employed? Are you currently employed? Do you have a job?
Yes, I work as a production worker. No, I don't have a job at the moment.
What is your occupation? What do you do for a living?
I work as a production worker. I'm not working right now.
How do you support yourself?
My spouse supports me.
What is your job? What work do you do?
I'm a production worker.
Where do you work? Where are you currently employed? Who is your current employer? Who do you work for? What is the name of your employer?
I work at NXP Production Company.
How long have you been working there? How long have you worked there? How long have you had that job? How long have you been with this employer? How many years have you worked at your current job?
I've been working here for 3 years.
When did you start working there? When did you begin your employment at this company? What is the date you started working at your current job?
I started working here on November 5th, 2022.
When did you leave that job? When did you end your employment there?
I left that job on April 24th, 2023.
What did you do before? What was your job prior to this one? What was your previous occupation?
I worked as a maintenance technician before.
Where did you work before? What was your previous employer? Where were you employed before this?
I worked at DN Solutions America.
Have you worked anywhere else in the last 5 years? In the last 5 years, have you worked for any other companies?
Yes, in the last 5 years, I've worked at US Tool Group for 3 months. No, I haven't worked anywhere else in the last 5 years.
What other jobs have you had in the past 5 years? What jobs have you worked in the past 5 years? In the past 5 years, where else have you been employed?
I've worked at US Tool Group for 3 months in 2022. I haven't worked anywhere else in the past 5 years.
Have you attended any schools in the last 5 years? Have you taken any classes or courses in the past 5 years?
Yes, I've attended Illinois Community College in 2021. No, I haven't attended any schools.
Have you traveled outside the U.S. in the last 5 years? Have you left the U.S. in the last 5 years? Have you traveled internationally in the past 5 years?
Yes, I went to Korea and Mexico in the last 5 years. No, I haven't traveled outside the U.S. in the last 5 years.
How many trips have you taken outside the U.S. in the last 5 years? How many times have you left the U.S. in the last 5 years? How many international trips have you made in the last 5 years? In the past 5 years, how many times have you traveled outside the U.S.?
I've taken 2 trips outside the U.S. in the last 5 years. I haven't traveled outside the U.S. in the last 5 years.
Have you ever left the U.S. for more than 6 months? Have you ever stayed outside the U.S. for more than 6 months? Have you had a trip outside the U.S. that lasted more than 6 months?
No, I've never stayed outside the U.S. for more than 6 months.
Why did you leave the U.S.? What was the reason for leaving the U.S.? Why did you travel outside the U.S.?
I went on vacation with my family.
When did you leave the U.S.? What was the date you left the U.S.?
I left the U.S. on June 23, 2022.
Where did you go? What countries did you visit? Where did you travel to during that trip?
I went to Korea.
When did you return to the U.S.? What was the date you came back to the U.S.?
I returned to the U.S. on July 5, 2022.
How long were you gone on that trip? How long did you stay outside the U.S.? How long was that trip? What was the length of that trip?
That trip was 13 days.
Have you ever left the U.S. for a year or more? Have you spent more than a year outside the U.S.? Have you lived abroad for more than a year at any point?
No, never.
Have you taken any other trips outside the U.S. in the last 5 years? Have you gone on any other trips outside the U.S. during the last 5 years? Are there any other trips abroad that you've taken in the last 5 years?
No, that's it. Yes, I've taken a trip to Mexico after I sent my form N400.